Okay, so we have basically everything ready to go. We're going to be using Meteor Build Pack Horse. Now, you might be wondering what's up with the horse. I think they address it at some point. I think it's just to sort of stand out. Basically, yeah, why horse? There's a gazillion forks and branches Heroku Build Pack. Basically, it stands out. So if it doesn't have a horse on it, you're using the wrong one. So what's up with Meteor Build Pack Horse and what's up with Heroku? Well, basically what you want to do is you want to get an account on Heroku. You can see I have a bunch of sites on here. Dashboard.heroku.com is where it's going to take you after you sign up. Now keep in mind that you can actually have, I believe, up to 5 free sort of test accounts or test sites up here. And you can have even more than that, I think, if you have a credit card in or if you're paying for one. You notice I have a few free ones. So what's the process of getting this thing going? You could follow the Build Pack Course example here. Basically, it says, set up your app to deploy to Heroku with Git. Okay, so to set up, from our dashboard, we want to click New and click Create New App. This is going to allow you to have an app name that's optional, or you can choose it. I'm going to just leave it optional to see what Heroku comes up with. If you're needing a domain, you can always add your domain at any point. This is really just a name that's going to allow you to refer to it, point to it in Heroku. So we can come here and click Create App. Now the best part about using Heroku here is that it sort of allows us to use Heroku's tools. It doesn't really get in the way, and we don't have to mess with a bunch of config files, and we can do everything through Git. So first thing we need to do is install the Heroku CLI. If we haven't yet, we can open this up in a new link. So you can see we want to go ahead and let's scroll down. It looks like they have an OS X installer. You can get the installer for Windows, or if you're on Linux, you can get it for Linux as well. Let's keep and run this package. And this is going to essentially just install the Heroku CLI, which is the command line tool for working with Heroku sites. Okay, the installation was successful. Sure, let's move it to trash, whatever. Either way, we should now have this all ready to go. What we want to do is run this Heroku login command. So in our app, from anywhere, you could just run Heroku login. It's going to ask for your credentials. I'm going to enter my information here and I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, I've entered my credentials and you can see I now get this logged in as scottolinsky@gmail.com. Basically what this does is connecting your computer to this account. So now that we're logged in, you want to make sure your application has a Git repository. It doesn't have to be on GitHub. It doesn't have to be anywhere. But we want to make sure this is logged on Git. Now Meteor by default should be set up if we type git status. As long as you have Git installed and whatever, we should actually see the current version where what's been modified and what needs to be committed, right? If you don't have Git set up, you want to go ahead and install Git. Either way, the project should contain everything it needs to. Now, one thing we want to do, let's head to our application here. You can see we have all this stuff in our .gitignore. We do have our node modules being ignored, so everything here should be ready to go. And we can just do git add dot git commit -m, and this will just be initial commit. I'll just keep it as that, even though it's probably not. And you can see everything's now been committed. Okay, so what do we do next? Well, we want to go ahead and push this application into Heroku. So to do that, we simply need to copy this command here. You'll notice mine is at young-retreat-85106. They automatically generate these names, so that's where Young Retreat came from. Yours is probably going to be something different. You just want to copy this line entirely, paste it in here, just like that. What this is doing is it's basically setting a remote location for your application on Heroku as a part of this particular app right here. So now all we really need to run is git push Heroku master. So we can type git push Heroku master. This is going to push the master branch of our project, which is the only one we have right now. It's going to push it up to Heroku, and you'll notice we'll get a bunch of messages here. Now, Heroku is going to take care of everything from installing all of our packages to our dependencies. It's going to set up everything for us. It's going to install what it needs to install. It will essentially do everything here right now except for getting Meteor working. So you can see it's pushed up. And it gives us an address here. If you go to youngretreat-whatever here, .herokuapp.com, it says it's been deployed. It's not going to be that easy, but it's not going to be that much harder. You'll notice we're getting an application error. We're getting an application error because this is Meteor. It's not essentially a basic Node application. So what's great about this is that we have our application up and running and it's pushed up. If we come to overview, you can see that we deployed it right here. But how do we get this any further? Well, what we want to do is we want to do step 2 now. We want to set the build pack. Now, build pack is essentially what tells Heroku what to do with the application in its most basic sense, right? Heroku build packs set, and this is going to set build pack horse as the build pack, how this should handle the build process. If we come to our application in Heroku and click on settings, you can see right here, build packs. After running that command, you should see Meteor build pack horse. If you don't, make sure you're not getting any messages here or that you're going up into the right location. In addition, you could also just copy and paste this Heroku buildpack.get into add build pack. Running the command is nice because you can just copy and paste it. You'll notice under your settings here, you can also change the name. You can reveal configuration variables, and you can even set up an SSL, or you can have your domain point to it. There's a lot of great stuff here. It's one of the reasons why I like Heroku so much. And we should now not have our application working. Well, why? Well, we need to now go ahead and add a database. And what's cool about this is that by default, if we run this Heroku add-ons create Mongo lab, it automatically sets us up to connect essentially to a free Mongo database. If you need to upgrade this, you can do so through the interface here in Heroku and have a full-on database. This is just a sandbox one. And you can see we also have Heroku config set where we want to go ahead and paste in our root URL. Now, you could do that through this config set, just like we could do with the build pack set. However, I'm going to show you a fun way to do that. I'm going to copy root_URL. And by fun, I just mean different. We want to come here, reveal config vars. The key is going to be root_URL. And the URL, or essentially the path for our application, is just going to be whatever it generated for you. Young Retreat 8516, whatever. But we can just paste that right in here, click add, and that's now our root URL. What that does is it tells our application and it tells Meteor that this is the home. And if you set a domain, you would set your domain to, you'd have your root URL be whatever your domain is. Okay, so now let's head to overview. You can see that our mbox MongoDB is right here. And we have just some information about when the last time we pushed was and stuff like that. Now that we're all set up, if we head back to the Meteor build packs, you can see you can deploy your app once again using git push Heroku master. Let's go ahead and do that and see what happens. Let's first come in here and make a change. I'm just going to head to app.js. I'm going to get rid of, we'll just comment this inline conditional out. And let's go ahead and make sure my app's running locally. Make sure I didn't mess anything up. Of course, for some reason, something happened here, and it's saying that React CSS transition group has not been added. Not quite sure what's going on there, but we can run yarn add React CSS add-ons transition group, or you could do npm install. Hopefully that takes care of that. I'm not sure what happened there. Nothing really changed here, but for some reason it decided that it didn't have React CSS transition group. And all I had to do was simply start and stop the Meteor app. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Sometimes starting and stopping the app can just fix it. Either way, our app is working. So let's go ahead and commit these changes. You can git add.git commit adds comment, and let's go ahead and git push Heroku master. Git push Heroku master, enter, and this should push it up. Now, every time you push it up, we should sort of get a little bit of essentially these logs as it's being built. We can also watch this inside of the Heroku interface admin. If we come here and click on activity, we can see what's happening, and you can click view build progress here. This way we can get a little bit of a good idea of what's happening in case something goes wrong, because occasionally things do go wrong. This deploying process isn't as seamless as it can be, but it's a little bit more seamless and easier, I found, than other methods. It's definitely a lot more reliable. Okay, so we now have our app. Apparently it has been built at Heroku app where we should be noticing it. See, we're getting the same message down here. It might not be entirely done though, because I notice we still have this remote here. Let's go ahead and hit our app just to see if it is working yet. Okay, and after all of that goes, it might take a minute. Don't get impatient. If there is an error, it's going to let you know that something went wrong here. But as you can see, it looks like launching released v6. Heroku deployed to Heroku. We can come to our app now. Let's give this page a refresh. And not only is this working, but I also get a free HTTPS. Now, this won't be the case if you're using your own domain or anything, but as long as you're on herokuapp.com, you're getting HTTPS. This isn't a real site here, but as you can see, everything is working. And if you were to come to this URL right now, this app's going to be up. You could log in at gmail.com. This is not, I don't own Scott at gmail.com, but be nice if I did. I didn't build in verifications for emails or anything. And you'll notice right away something, right? We hit a little bump. And this bump is an internal server error. If we open up this inspect, you can see we're getting some problems. Well, what's up with these problems and how do we fix them? Well, let's head to our command line and we can type Heroku logs hyphen tail. And this is going to just give us our application logs. And let's see what problem we have. And here you'll run into an issue. It says cannot exception while invoking create user, which is a method that we wrote. It cannot read the index of undefined. Well, what's up? Well, what's up here is that we wrote the settings.json that includes an admin array inside of our public, but settings.json is not loaded through Heroku. In fact, you need separate settings for your live application. In fact, if we come to settings, you can come here, and what you'll notice here is we have reveal config vars, where we had our MongoDB URI as well as our key. But how do we actually get this working for our settings.json file? Well, if we head to Meteor build pack, if we scroll down, you could sort of see we're looking for essentially settings here. Now, we don't necessarily see anything. We have Mongo URL, root URL, Meteor app directory. But essentially what we need to do is add a Meteor settings. And that Meteor settings is going to be added as just a config var. So we can say Meteor _ settings. Okay. Now the value is going to be our entire settings.json file. So let's copy this whole thing, including the starting and ending brackets, and even including this empty public object, and just keep this the same. We can click add here. Now what this is going to do is it basically makes this available as the Meteor settings. This is what's going to get loaded into your application as these settings. So is our application using these settings? If we head to activity here, you can see that Meteor settings was added. Let's go ahead and try to log in again. We can say scott.tolinsky@gmail.com. Again, we'll make sure we're creating an account. And this time, not surprisingly, it worked because we added our Meteor settings. Now, in a real world situation, you might want to have some sort of a check in there for your accounts where basically it's saying, if this Meteor settings array even exists, then do this. But for me, this works right now. We have our settings in here. We can compare two things. The initial coffee versus tea, animates in. Beautiful. So this is our application. It's live on Heroku. You can visit this if you'd like. Vote on coffee or tea, create an account, and add some things as long as you're keeping it PG. It's cool with me. And so here we have Young Retreat 85106.herokuapp.com. So build what you want, get it up in Heroku, and if you're having errors, ever go to the Heroku logs and see your logs here, because that's the only way you're going to solve your errors. But we didn't have to mess with any config files. We didn't have to mess with a whole bunch of stuff. We were able to just do this all through Git, and now we can type Git push Heroku master and get the latest version up on Heroku just like that. Now, on some of my other sites, I actually have essentially what would be a pipeline that when I push up to a given branch of my repo on my GitLab, or you could have it on GitHub or any of those, it actually automatically deploys to Heroku. Now that's not something I'll cover in this intermediate series, but it could be covered in the advanced series if people are interested. Either way, Heroku is a great platform. This is not an advertisement. I don't get any kickbacks from them. I don't even have any sort of program to make money off accounts here or anything like that. I've been struggling through deploying with Meteor and a whole bunch of different platforms. And outside of Meteor Galaxy, which is excellent, by the way, Meteor Galaxy is very wonderful. I found Heroku to be the easiest platform to get going with in terms of just getting it up and running and then having access to all sorts of stuff. And you don't have to use MongoLab. If you click configure add-ons, find more add-ons. We could find there, I believe there's a compose where we go to data stores. If we come down here, you can see we have a compose MongoDB. You can use compose. You can use any of this stuff. You can add these to your application and just work through it. I found Heroku to be a really nice experience for deploying your Meteor applications. So, as always, this is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. I hope you enjoyed this series. We now have an application up and running online. We have a whole bunch of new stuff to get Meteor and React really nice for you. Now, there will be an advanced series of the same type of series. However, it's still in development right now in terms of what I'm talking about in that series. So if there's particular topics that you're just dying to see and you feel like they would fit well into an advanced series, please let me know. I'm going to make it as full features as I can because it might be the last Meteor and React series I do for a little while. So make sure that if you have any ideas that you think other people would benefit from, let me know via any Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Let me know what you're thinking, and I could potentially put those in the Meteor Advanced series. In addition, the Meteor 1.4 Intermediate series is being recorded right now and will be available very soon. So keep your eyes open for that if you're using Blaze and not interested in React, or maybe you're interested in both. It's going to be covering a lot of the same stuff, but essentially the Meteor or the React specific stuff that we did here will be replaced by other things. So I hope you enjoyed this series. I hope you learned lots, and good luck building your Meteor and React applications. It's my favorite stack to work in, and it's been my favorite stack to work in for a good amount of time now. So I hope you enjoy Meteor and React as much as I do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.